Hey horse lovers, this week we uncovered new health concerns. Oh, it's just peeling the onion over here. However, we are able to teach her more exercises to reduce the tension through her body. Plus, she's introduced to the bridle and the bit. Check it out. The horses have had a little more alfalfa introduced to their diet, which is good because she needs it. So I thought, okay, the poop's a little looser. That's also to be expected. But oh my gosh, there's freaking worms in it. And I was told she was on a regular deworming cycle, and it's the middle of the winter right now, which we don't typically worm in. So I thought, I don't have to worry about this. These freaking things are alive, guys. It's minus 30 out here. So in the second that it took me to go grab my camera, they've really slowed down their movement. But this one's stupid tail is still like mildly wiggling. That's freaking disgusting. That is disgusting. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta show that to the vet and ask them what that is and get her on a dewormer immediately. Okay, quick sidebar, because I feel like I need to explain a little bit more about the worms. So here I'm just warming her up, doing the pole work as I have been doing. You guys know what's up. Back to the worms. Okay, so I took a picture of the poo into my vet, and they had a good laugh, first off, at the picture. And then they said, yeah, actually it's common that mares and foals pass their worms back and forth to each other because they just sit there and eat each other's poo. Because I had said, well, she was dewormed. And they're like, oh, no. It's very common. Brood mares are super wormy. So it's actually a blessing because she was fed alfalfa, like a new bale that had a bit of alfalfa, because we're trying to, up her weight. And then the next day when I went to work with her, her poop was a little more runny. And because of that, she was like flushing these worms out of her system. So that's why they were in her poo. Had she not been given that alfalfa bale, I wouldn't have saw those worms because the next day I came, the worms weren't coming out in her poop. So then I gave her that dewormer that next day. And then once that started working, then the worms started coming out again. So gross and fun facts for all of us. Yes. Now you're wondering what I've been doing this whole time in the video. Okay, clearly, getting her working over the trot poles, working on coordination, footwork, all those skills. Here, I'm on her right side. Remember how she liked to block me last week and kind of avoid going over these poles when I was on her right? And we all know she's not as comfortable with me being on her right, being a horse that's used to people just being on her left. That's pretty normal. So already this is a lot better, but then what has been happening is after she goes over the poles, she's starting to cut in towards me. Now you'll see how I fixed the right shoulder lean. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm using the flag right up on top of her shoulder, kind of along her withers, to tip her over and move that weight more over to the left side of her body, onto her left leg. So you hear people talking about horses that are leaning. She's a horse that leans towards the right side. Then as we go through these poles, you'll hear her hit them a couple times, and it's natural that she's less coordinated on the side that she's leaning onto, right? Okay, fixing it slow motion here, asking her to move to the outside, and I'm actually, I'm tapping her here, because actually she leads the most through the top line. Yes. That's better. And here I clearly think she must be balanced enough that she can trot. And hey, look at how much better this trot transition is and how she stays on my left, her right. Woohoo! Good girl! And now, fixing. Yes. Here again, just asking her to move sideways. Yes. And every time she just even thinks left, I'm rewarding.
Yeah. When she finds it, she's learned. It feels good. Drop the head down. The left front leg is your friend.
And now increasing difficulty by waiting till I'm closer to the poles to ask her to trot and go.
Yes, good girl.
Hey.
That's a smart girl. And then,
Yeah. myself up, moving on to the better. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Work with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the islands. We up on that jet, we'll do more than just fly on it. Stand on that hill, you gon' die on it. Baby, I'm not one of them, you should try on it. This me will hold it, I'm on it index. This up, I send you back to your ex. But good luck with that, this is big as it gets. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember. Hey, let's see how you do.
Really good lift, the horse will drop the head.
A moment can live on forever. Oh shoot, they don't let me shoot a whole clip. Firepower in this coalition. We just turned the field into a demolition. It was desolate, but I had premonition. I was training for war, every exhibition, every extra mission, every enemy listening. Get off my dick, I got bad intentions. Make it better. Show you the ropes. Peace in my town, I can show you the coast. Up in the shots if they wanted to smoke. If you know, then you know. Suited up, my whole team do the same. Don't you forget who created the game.
This exercise is also so effective in building strength, but you gotta have a horse that actually stops and backs up, which we've kind of got that now. When doing this backing exercise, make sure you are focusing on backing them from the sternum. So notice how I'm putting pressure on her chest, and I'm asking her to back more from the chest and not from the head. If you are pushing back from the head and then like shortening the neck or contracting the neck, you're gonna lose the benefits of this exercise. The horse should back up with a long neck so that they're using their core and their stabilizer muscles in a proper way versus resisting and fighting you. Anything done through resistance, you're not gonna get the proper muscle building. Now here, notice how she started curving off the wall? So she was curving off the wall to the left, which is her weaker side. And when she started to tire a little bit, her weaker side wasn't working as hard. So that meant her stronger side was pushing her towards that weak side, and thus she curved off the wall. So simple solution, spin her around, back her up the other way. Either way, if you do things fairly evenly on both sides, that is the golden rule. The next thing I want to point out is the manner in which she is stopping and backing at times. I'm going to pause it so you can see better. You'll notice that when she stops and when she starts to back up, her front end actually goes lower. Yeah, right there. So I've used a pink line so you can see how her front end is lower than her back, especially when you're looking along that horizontal wall. If the horse's front end is lower, they're clearly on their forehand, which is not what we want. The front end should look a little bit higher, like that. There, again with the pink line. This is a clear indication that the horse is actually compressing their hind joints and using them more so that they're lighter and more uphill on their forehand.
This lady is boss woman. And the crowd scattered. Should have known. Okay. All right, I know that she can rear. Good to know before I start riding her. Oh, we got moves.
Phantom, how are we going to deal with your little worming issue? Dun 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 da! Yay! We love more things that we need to spend money on to make you as healthy as possible. But we will because we love you. So here we go. Let's worm.
Yo, this is how I train my horses. I just ride and then expect the next one to watch. And done. Right? She's in school. This is the teacher.
Today I'm going to be doing some Masterson Method neck releases.
These neck releases will be in preparation for putting the bridle on her for the first time. My thinking is if I can allow her to feel comfort in the head and the neck while I'm holding the bridle, because sometimes even the sight of the bridle for a horse gives them like that, what is that? So here I'm doing some sideways neck releases and some pull down. All of Masterson's stuff is using really light pressure. So my hand on the bridge of her nose is there very, very, very lightly. And then my hand on her neck, again, really light. And it's just really paying attention to the horse and waiting for them to give you the slightest response that they're considering moving towards you, and then you just like soften that pressure. And then you can see she walks around, she fidgets a lot, and fidgeting can be that the horse needs to release tension. So you notice my response is just to go with her. I'm not really trying to restrain her, but I'm also not allowing her to get away from me, because of course, if the horse learns that they can just sit in their pasture and do nothing and completely decompose over their lifetime, they will. They don't know how to move their bodies in a way that is going to be the best for them unless they've been taught. So I am following her, but then I'm sticking with her until she starts to release. And in a minute here, you're going to see her start to relax, and a lot of licking and chewing and blinking as she starts to feel better. So every time she moves her head ever so slightly towards me, then I release, let her sit there for a second, and then I move my hand one more cervical vertebrae back so that she's rotating around each different cervical vertebrae, and then I can also assess where in her neck she's particularly tight, because they might be more tight at the base of their neck, they might be more tight up at the pole or mid-neck, and it can be different on each side. And then you get, if you don't address this now, you get in the saddle and you start to steer, and all of a sudden you've got turning problems, you've got bit resistance problems, because the horse just physically can't do the thing you're asking. Now I'm here on her right side, and not surprisingly, she is more sticky on this side. She also almost went over the jump with me doing the method. And again, yeah, it's just staying here. I'm going up, down, all over the place because she's kind of trying to evade. And then when she gets still like this, now she's going, wait 1 second. Maybe there's a different way I can address this tension. And then when she moves towards me, I let her walk away at that point, and then she gets a big release from it. The head shaking, the licking and the chewing, the yawning, the rolling of the third eyelid, rapid blinking, scratching the nose, all of those are releases, and she showed a whole bunch here. And she's been fairly stoic since I bought her, and she's finally starting to allow me to see her in a relaxed state, which I think she's starting to let her guard down, and we're starting to connect.
Now that I've done some neck and pole releases, it's going to be Phantom's first day with a bridle.
And since we live in the Great White North, we always have to warm up our bits before we put them in the horse's mouth. So here I am blowing all my hot air on the bit. Good girl. I love here how her response is head down, which is what we worked on. I would rather a horse put their head too low to start when bridling versus, head up in the air. Because if their head's up, they're tense. And their head's down, even if they're still kind of avoiding, they're not feeling quite as much tension through their muscles.
Okay, the bridle's on, and of course the first response is to leave. Good job. And it's just a very basic snaffle. It's double jointed, it has a copper roller in there. So it should be a really comfortable, soft fit. There's no nose band on this bridle, not yet, just to keep it easy and not to overcomplicate the bridling process. Oh, you are so beautiful. Look at you. Look at you. And I really like the fit. I don't think I need to make an adjustment. Good girl. You're such a grown-up. Look at you. I wish you ate cookies, because I would give you a cookie right now. But you don't. She's accepting this bridle really nicely. Often, horses will do a lot of licking and chewing and sticking out their tongue, maybe putting their tongue, trying to put their tongue under it, over it, just figuring out why is this in my mouth. But she is an ex-race horse, so she has had a bit in her mouth, but it was a number of years ago, and since then she hasn't had anything. If there's ever a question about what I'm asking, I'm going to make it clear with the halter, because that's something she understands at this point. And I'm not going to use a lot of rein pressure. So here I go halter, yes, good. And then just ice it with the rein, icing on the cake. Here I'll use a bit of halter and with a bit, good. Good, little halter, little bit, good. And being very quick to look for all the many ideal moments that I can release and not have any pressure on her. Halter, rein. Good. Good.
Here now, when her head starts to go up and when she starts to get sticky, I'm going to use my hand on her neck to push her neck away from me at like the very middle, so the point of the bend, the top curve, and then use the bit to bring her head towards me.
You're gonna feel better when you do that. Phantom, good girl. And then we get nice licking and chewing. Good.
Here again, I use my right hand to help her with the neck bend.
Girl. Good girl. Okay, we're gonna go for one big lap around the arena.
I'm now starting to mimic what it's going to be like to ride her, which is walking straight down the wall and teaching her how to actually go into a corner. We know that horses like to typically cut corners or make circles smaller if they can. So by on the ground, going and showing her how to move out and into the corners versus leaning in and cutting in, I'm already one step ahead by the time I go to get on and ride her.
Good. All right, so now right turn. This side I expect to be a little tighter. Good.
I say that because her right side is her stiffer side. Now I'm showing how I'm using my left hand on this side to push her neck away from me while my right hand brings her nose towards me. And I'm making it very clear how to respond to the bit versus fighting it. This is a really good visual of a moment where she's tense. You can see her poles pushing towards me while her nose is looking away. So I put my hand on her neck where she's pushing towards me the most, and I just gently push the neck away while I ask the nose to come towards me, and then she gets it. And then same thing to the right, doing a whole walk around the arena to the right, making sure she's moving into the corners.
I'll practice a couple lows and then to the right.
And it's the same concept with the halt. I start with the rein this time to kind of get her to bridge the whoa cue from the halter, which she knows. So rein first, and then the halter is the backup until eventually she's gonna listen to just the rein cue. I'll end it there. That's a lot of brain work for one session. And since she's standing so calm, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll just do a couple of the leg stretches and releases. I'm always trying to sneak some kind of body work in before or after each session. And then I had to keep this one in here because I thought it was so funny that while I was stretching her leg, she's like, oh, look at the jump. And then she starts walking over it. So if that's not a horse that wants to jump on her own accord, I don't know what is.
Hey, good girl. Oh, good girl.
This is the last thing that I did with her this day, and I am super excited about this. I was able to walk alongside her and like time little pulls on her tail, and I was able to keep the left hind from rotating. So as we go around the corner and you see her from the rear here, watch the left hind, there's like no rotation, like none. Well, okay, there's a little bit, but like way less. I'm actually making the right rotate more. I'm thinking this is so cool. I'm clearly engaging some of those stabilizer muscles. And so I'm gonna incorporate this now after every session. And I did go onto both sides so that I could stabilize the right leg for a little bit and then stabilize the left leg. And she's really tolerant of me doing this. And actually afterwards, she would put her head down and lick and chew. So I'm thinking to her, it probably actually had some serious therapeutic benefit. Yay, good girl, session over, took the bridle off. She dropped her head really nicely for me. I couldn't be more pleased with this.